You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
The girls with the women with the curves and the size plus sizes, I
Well,
think they're just look past. And I used to always say, but this is proper women. You know what I mean?
say again.
anyhow, yeah. Good morning. We are here again today. Life in
Red and black.
life in random. I thought she forget it just now.
No.
Today she ain't going the colors though. I don't understand. But she represented something else that we both represent, Caribbean Boy Life, which is something that we basically started from a little idea. A friend of mine called him Realist.
Talking to the mic, God.
Yeah, sorry. Let me talk to the mic.
The people need to hear you.
Yeah, so Realist started this movement, and so far it has gone global. So I got big up Realist on this one. Caribbean Bike Life, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing bonds, bikes bring bonds, and it bring a lot of guys together in this movement. So
I'm just representing, and I felt like wearing my yellows today. My daughter loves beads in her hair, and as big a woman as I am, I love wearing beads in my hair. So I had to make sure I match, us women have to match with our apparel. And I'm in the hot seat today, so
yeah, today I
doing
be
something
interviewing
different.
her today. I'll be interviewing her today, something different. So let's get right to it. So Claire, you are, which we had mentioned in one of our episodes before, a nutrition coach.
This is correct.
And, there's a lot surrounding being a nutrition coach. A lot of people feel or think that, it's simple math, or you just, how you could go online, pick a meal, and it will just work for you. But from being with you, I realized that's not true. There's a lot of detail that goes into planning a meal for a person and that sort of stuff. So today we're going to ask you some questions. You're going to get to the source, the root.
All right.
What makes a good nutrition coach, and what actually is the formula to eat healthy and live healthy. I know, especially with the whole COVID and stuff going around, this is the time where people actually know paying attention to eating healthy and living a healthy lifestyle. So, so some of the questions I can ask you, one of the questions I can ask you, what got you into nutrition and like the people you work with, the university, going to school. Tell us a little about that.
Well, I've told the story a few times, and I try to add on a different piece to it every time. I have shared quite a few times about being on the macaroni box. But
macaroni box, people, if they know that, you gotta take out that macaroni box.
I've shared that story quite a few times. But I think the bigger picture outside of the macaroni box was really going through a difficult time with my health when I was at university. University and student life has its own dynamic of stress management with a lot of assignments and studying and needing that quick food fix kind of thing and sugar rushes to stay up studying late and all that kind of stuff. So it took a toll on me, and at the time when it started taking a toll, it also coincided with my grandmother getting very ill with different things. So she had diabetes, she had heart disease, and she had cancer, and it all panned itself out over the time that I was at university. So it was just, it was like everything came tumbling, and I wouldn't say I wasn't like a chronically ill, but it was still, issues that at the time felt like they were gynecological, a lot of pains in my stomach, things that I had to go and get ultrasounds for, and, other different medical tests, and everything was coming back pretty much saying it was fine. Two turning moments for me when I really realized that I had to pay attention was something that happened with me, and then something that happened with my gran. So pertaining to my gran, it was myself and my family caring for her after she had her open heart surgery. And the thing is, like, you realize that when it comes to us understanding our body, right, we don't really know. We know all so much about the outside of our body, but we really don't know like a lot of what happens on the inside. And unless you have somebody directly in your family that's going through something, 9 times out of 10, the average person is not going to see what a surgery patient looks like, or, you know, what when you get your foot amputated, like the real ins and outs of losing a limb and stuff like that. So it was a big shock to me. It was a big shock to actually see like that huge scar like on her chest, and like the pain that she had to go through with healing it. And the doctors explained that they actually have to crack your ribs, which of course they try not to do now. They try to give you a catheter instead. But, you know, it's really intensive surgery, and you're like, fuck, I don't want to do that. So that was hard. That was hard watching her go through that. Cancer came 3 years later, which was a whole different ball game. But then for me now, it was kind of what felt like a life or death. I was kind of like at the end of a year of frustration, not being able to get answers directly from the doctor. And I started to go through this bout of getting really, really bad sore throats, you know. And I was taking all sorts of antibiotics, and it seemed like the medication that the doctor gave me at the time, I didn't know, but I was allergic to it. And it was one big fat horse pill. I'll never forget it. It was like this big. And I took the pill, and my throat was flaming. I mean, have you ever had like a sore throat? I don't know if anybody did tonsillitis. Like, it was unreal. I couldn't even think of swallowing ice cream. It was that painful. And within less than like 3 minutes, I felt like someone was sitting on my chest and crushing me to death. I could not breathe. It was anaphylaxis, right? I got intervention. This is why it's really important. Like, we put a lot of emphasis on the doctor.
Yeah, was no answer.
You better know a pharmacist that knows their drugs, right?
So like, to avoid things like that, I mean, how will a person best go about like to research like the medication? Because a lot of people just take medication because
I think a lot of people used to, but I think that there are patients that are, and this is actually probably tied into what it's like to be a nutrition coach. A lot more people, and this sounds like I'm discrediting doctors, but doctors have done irresponsible things or things that they didn't think through properly, because they're human, right? Yeah. And understanding, to be fair to a doctor, the list of medications that they have to know and understand is insane. So that's why the pharmacist, everybody works on board. So I'm saying that a pharmacist actually helped me to understand what happened. It wasn't penicillin. It was a derivative of penicillin, but it was still close enough to cause a problem. So, but it was a wake-up call. It was a very unpleasant experience. And everything all around, it was like, okay, maybe there's a lot more going on here than I really understand. And from there, it was just movement forward, you know?
I from personal experience, and a lot of men could attest to this, we as men, we hate going to the doctor. We just hate. And the reasons for that is that we don't want to hear nothing bad. We don't want to hear we got to do this or we got to do that.
It's an unknown.
Yeah. There's basically unknown.
Right.
And what you describe is like we going to a mechanic to get a car fixed. And a mechanic diagnosing the problem by saying you gotta buy this part, you gotta buy that part, and
you can't buy the part for body most of the time. Right.
And then sometimes it be the wrong part you're buying, so then you end up wasting money, and then you gotta go all over again to get somebody else to then give you a proper assessment. And so the body is the difference between the care and the body. The body is something living, something real. So you can't make those mistakes. You shouldn't make those mistakes. When you are subscribing medication to, because it can kill, or it can even make things matters worse. Sure. So a lot of people as right now is be real skeptical about taking stuff. Yeah, and
a lot of people research. So I'll say that is a huge difference. You know, we have to understand. So I'm kind of jumping the gun. Maybe I don't know if this is coming out later in your interview questions, but the patients have changed over the years, and we no longer find patients who just take what you say willy-nilly, and that comes to nutrition recommendations. And I tell my clients, like, don't take anything I tell you.
Do your research.
Go and do your research. And if you come back and you say, hey, look, Claire, you've recommended X, Y, and Z supplement, but, I'm reading something that's saying that this is better. I'm going to research that with you. I'm not going to... It's always humble pie. Like,
that's not... Much people don't do that. Much doctors won't even...
Well, let me tell you. I give credit to someone that I worked with. His name is Lawrence Mas. Lawrence Mas. And I really learned a lot working with Lawrence because in my mind at the time, the man was like a genius. And when I say a genius, I mean, when he was talking to clients, he had his books out. It wasn't just him spewing stuff off the top of his head, right? I mean, he knew his stuff, but he would always have a lot of books in his office, and like, he would pull out, he would like show certain conditions. He would show you the chapters where it would explain why he was giving certain recommendations. And I built a healthy respect for that. And yeah, but you have to know your drugs, and you have to know your food, and you have to know your anatomy. Is part of learning yourself.
We had a little debate yesterday about the sandy water and
James, edit that please. We're not calling the name of any products on this show. Beep.
Right. We had a discussion about water yesterday, and there was a certain ingredient in the water where the guy was discussing how it can be bad for the body and stuff. And then when they showed it to you, you said to me, well, yes, as much as he may be saying that there may be a problem with the certain substance in the product, there's also a different way that you can look at it where there's a lot of other products that has the same substance, but it's the quantity that is being used
and being monitored, correct.
Right. So it's like not knowing and having that education tool is be so helpful that you have someone that is there that can show you certain
things.
And
it's so you asked me about university life, right? Yeah. So this was, of all the things that I learned on my degree, my bachelor's in nutrition, that I think I really took, like the biggest nugget that I took was not so much learning about food, but the skill set that I learned at university, which was funny enough, yes, you have to research at UE, but the way the English system was laid out over there felt a little bit more intense on the research side of it. So I think that you learn, like, you have to have a critical thinking cap. And this is where now, when we watch documentaries on what we should eat or not eat and stuff, the people who write those things, they understand critical thinking. So it's a lot easier for them to be persuasive on you to how to formulate your opinions. It also means that when you have marketing companies and drug companies and food companies and all these different companies, they understand behavioral psychology that the average person doesn't get. They understand research. Research is complicated, very complicated to prove if something works or if it doesn't, right? These are the trials that are set up for years. They have certain parameters. They have certain number of people in the study, confounding factors in the study, and it can be confusing. So there was a lot of emphasis on that when I was at university, and it makes giving a patient a plan not as straightforward as people think on the surface.
You see, when you speak about that, I see like the way people market food to get you to buy into food. Let me tell you, the sort of skill sets they use to get you drawing to certain foods and stuff is like, how could you resist? You know what I mean? It's a challenge eating healthy. Which leads me to another question, like, for you as a nutrition coach, right? I mean, how hard is it to sit with a patient and tell or give them a meal plan where for yourself that the cost to get these items and these things they will need, even for yourself, it would be really challenging.
I inhale deeply and exhale deeply. It has felt at times that I have been banging my head against the wall with finding solutions that are a reflection of my honesty in the way I live my life. Because there's a expectation that you're the coach, so you have to be able to walk the walk you talk, right? But people forget that you're learning too, and you don't always have all the answers. And what any doctor, nail technician, personal trainer, as you get different clients, this is where your skill sets then widen. And I'm not hiding it. Like, I have been in a boat that a lot of other women have found themselves in, being a single mom for a very long time before I met you. And there've been times where trying to juggle that has been incredibly difficult.
I guess even especially with a child.
Yeah.
Trying to balance it too.
Yeah, it's been incredibly difficult. And expense is a real problem. Yeah. You know,
but then you have the expense part and getting the foods. And then when you got the kids or the child there, is like trying to get them to eat the same as you, and that's another difficult task to deal with too as well.
It is, and I am not gonna hide it. There've been times that the challenge of it personally has made me feel like giving up, and has made me feel like it's not my calling, and I've been fooling myself. And who am I? I can't get this done. But I've learned so much in not giving up. And I think where it has helped me develop is understanding that the clients that are coming to me, a lot of them are going to be reflecting the same challenges, and that the only way that I can truly speak to them is if I go through them myself and come out on the other side. So bearing all these things in mind, finances, family challenges, taste preferences, time restraints. When clients come to me now, I am a heck of a lot less judgier than I used to be. Some of my earlier presentations, I feel like knocking myself across the head, like, who are you talking to? Who you know, land? Right? But it's also, and it's made me more empathetic, and it's helped me to, with clients, like, to be able to pick the lowest hanging fruit. When you're trying to start any nutrition program, don't try to change everything.
Yeah.
You get frustrated, right?
That's a whole different change. I know a lot of people would not be able to handle that. I wouldn't, honestly.
Which actually leads to another thing that you asked about meal plans. Yeah. Meal plans don't work for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I went on X, Y, and Z website and I paid $20 and I got a meal plan. But ask the person 2 weeks from now, are you following your meal plan? No. Because it has to factor in all these things. And if you can grab at the lowest hanging fruit on the tree, then you feel like you're successful. And then you can build on that.
Yeah. It's a gradual change, not
it's very gradual.
Instant, yeah.
It's very, very gradual.
And I guess that's one of the reasons that a lot of people don't stick to a meal plan because of that. Because before I met you, when I first had a meal, when I was in the gym, in the Nation gym, and I had a meal plan from one of the coaches, when I see the things I had to eat, things that I couldn't even taste before I even put it in my mouth, I could look at it no, I'm not eating that. So to look at it from a person in my shoes, getting a meal plan from a coach or somebody profession that is giving me a meal plan with totally different foods that I never used to eat, I never had liked or nothing like that, and then expect me to just be able to just change like that, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And then to try to achieve the goal that you said that I could achieve by doing it, I mean, you try to study the goal, but every time you try to eat the food, it's like, no, I can't get this. And you end up giving up. So so that gets started one of the reasons
I'm going in this horrible spiral that becomes so challenging to get out of.
So I guess that's one of the reasons that is be really healthy and good to have a coach.
Yeah.
That can have an understanding that it just doesn't work like that, and you know the challenges to help you know find a way, a formula that it could work.
And something that is very something that I probably should blog about a little more often, or vlog about, however the term is is I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to reading up about the mind and what makes us tick. I find the human brain and behavior very, very fascinating. So something that we need to also see is that when I look at a person, what you project to me is just your iceberg on the surface. There's a whole set of layers below you, or anybody that I don't know, as a therapist, a coach, a friend, a wife, or whatever. I'm not getting to see that side. So a client could be coming to you for like 3 months, right? They put as their main priority weight loss. In a man's case, it might be muscle gain. But there's a whole heap of stuff underneath that iceberg that has to change first. It has to melt first before that top that they're aiming for gets addressed. And they're going through those changes, but they're not visual changes, most of them. A lot of them is mental changes, emotional changes. And we don't usually quantify that. And so everybody's on the outside looking at you and judging you, and you paying this nutrition coach, or you believe she's going to the gym for the last 3 months, but she ain't losing the weight. Like all these are things that people on the outside will be seeing, but yet the person might not know that you slept a whole night for the first time in 3 months. They might not know that you had a period where for the first time you didn't feel like choking somebody to death. And all those are real changes, right? So it's like this idea of what is your goal? What is it really doing for you? Or is it just the emphasis always on the way you look?
Yeah, and most of the time the way you look. Most of the time.
Of course it is. All the IG models, asses at the
That's
door.
the way to promote. That's
they
the
look,
market.
they look all sexy and all that, right? But there's so much more to a healthy lifestyle and habits than just looking good.
That's true.
But it doesn't sell.
Nope, it doesn't sell. That's not what it sells. A good healthy sleep doesn't sell.
You know how many of my clients have insomnia?
Yeah. Trust me, no. So being around, you always see the changes and the praises and stuff from people calling and saying clearly the first may slept for a whole 8 hours and they feel so good and stuff, and
you feel drunk. Yeah. If I can't sleep, please, if you ever see me out and I look like I'm possibly drunk, ask me if I've had a good night's sleep, because I don't function when I don't sleep. Yeah. So it's coaching is different. Coaching is different. You got to bring your A game. You can't be a basketball coach on the sidelines and like you got to be your team's biggest cheerleader.
That's actually what was leading back to what is like being a nutrition coach. You know what I mean?
You got to find that balance of not letting people feel sorry for themselves, but yet pushing them outside of a comfort zone. You got to find when sometimes clients need to be spoken to harshly about things that they don't want to address.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they're not going to make any change.
So your biggest challenge with your clients, what would you say it would be in terms of getting them to the point that they want to achieve this goal?
The biggest challenge I had with me, and now I see it clearly with my clients, is something that they teach you at school. It's called victim mode. And many of us, if not most of us, practice it, and we don't even know it. And victim mode is so insidious and its tentacles creep into your life because we're taught that we need to get help from somebody. Yes, that may be true, and we don't know everything. But when it comes to changing ourselves, no one can really make you change yourself unless you're ready to. There's that I think the correct word is that adage, the teacher appears when the student is ready.
Yeah.
There's never a truer saying than that. When you put out there that you want to change, you're the person that's made that connection first, not the person that you're coming to. Mm-hmm. They're only helping you to pad out the pathway. Guide. But they can't make you walk. Mm-hmm. So as a coach, you try to meet the person where they're at. You try not to shove too many recommendations. You have to be able to assess where the person really is at. If all the person can manage at the time, like say someone has no motivation to cook, what's giving a meal plan gonna do? They come home from work, they're tired, they just don't even want to look at the stove.
Right.
They're, you know what I mean? What is a meal plan really gonna do for that person in that place? Versus maybe all they can manage is putting on Pinterest and just getting all juicy and sexy, watching food that they would absolutely love prepared, you know, or maybe just all they can manage is go into a restaurant. So we go through the menus of the restaurants that they really want to go to, and we decide what's the best thing that you could get at this restaurant. Meet the person where they're at. Yeah. Not where you want them to be.
I like that. That even goes back to me in terms of my cooking and my frustrations in terms of preparing meals for persons. And, you know, I think it, like, trying to balance, like, I want, you know, Bajans got this thing that you're always trying to poison them. Because, Bajans don't like to try anything new. I be honest, I feel Bajans national dish should be macaroni pie.
I think it is an unsaid.
I honestly think it should be macaroni pie.
I think it's an unsaid national dish, but I don't think it looks good. Because cheese can't replace fish.
Cheese, let me tell you that. So, I mean, like, there's so much, from meeting you, there's so much things that I have tried lately. And not
what have you tried?
Like the falafel, like hummus, and I didn't even know that chickpeas could create so much different flavors and delicacies, like, and then peas and stews and stuff. These things don't really be taught to us that kind of way. We think about pork, we think about beef, we think about lamb, we think about all the pastas and
fried chicken,
and
for sure,
fish. And,
right.
I mean, there's so much healthy stuff and so much different ways you can create healthier meals. But then the hardest part is like the ingredients that when you got to use to purchase and stuff that is really killer, right?
It is.
So,
and it doesn't get. To me, it doesn't get talked about the way I would like it to. So, you know, you all right. You changing somebody's meal plan. Let's start with some standard stuff, right? Okay, you might be able to do whole wheat pasta. The price and that might not be that terrible. But then if you're looking at, say, you want to be swapping out, you have different grades. So you got white rice, you got brown rice. But then the jumping cost from the brown rice to the basmati rice, even the wild rice is massively different. Then to jump from using wild rice to quinoa is a whole different ball game.
I love quinoa.
Yeah, we can feed our family on quinoa regular time straight. I can't afford that. Same thing with the cheeses. Better quality cheeses increase in price. Better quality juices increase in price. Better quality yogurts increase in price. If you're talking about changing now from using regular white sugar or brown sugar to using agave or honey or stevia, that's a huge jump in price. So it's like, oh, let's not forget, going from white flour to using almond flour. Almond flour is an amazing, beautiful vegan recipes, but oh my goodness, the cost is what? Can I really buy that regularly? Maybe I'll just dilute some of this white flour with a little bit of this almond over here. You understand? Yeah. And if that's what my client, if that's where my client's budget is at, then okay.
Yeah.
That's where we work from.
Yeah. I like that. Trying to keep it balanced, trying to keep it
real,
and still keep it real at the same time. Yeah. So I can ask this question. I wish it was they touched on what it was no saying about the national dish should be macaroni. What are Barbadians like when it comes to food?
I think that we have changed. I've seen, since I've gone into the food industry, I've seen some change. I think we have a lot more restaurants that have come about. So I do see there's a lot more openness. But I think maybe when it comes to our day-to-day way of eating, There's a lot of old school, and it's in a way. Remember, we watched this really cool documentary called High on the Hog, and it was it was charting how slavery and Africa impacted our culinary arts now, right? Food, and it made me realize that sometimes so we can be traditional. There's nothing wrong with being traditional, but it's giving ourselves space to exercise our version of traditional. A fusion. And I think that instead of us trying to like change our whole way of eating, it's more viewing it as improving our way of eating. Yeah. Right? And I feel that maybe sometimes we get a little stuck on that. And the food vans create a lot of the same things, but then I've spoken to food vendors over the years who've said, but they've tried similar to you. They've tried doing something different, but it's not what people want. It's not what they're accustomed to.
Because their business don't like they jump out, think out the box, try new things. And so the problem is they're thinking, who was that? You want to give me the kill? You want to kill me? I never see that yet. Never, you know what I mean? So the culture that we have, we kind of stick to what we know.
Yeah,
right? Most of us. So it's just a matter of us now trying to fuse.
But it'd be even interesting to have some kind of like a competition where you tell people stick to local dishes, but show us what you can do with a local dish to make it the best version.
Exactly.
Might be idea right there.
So I think that is one of the biggest challenges in terms of dealing with food and also trying to keep it healthy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, my next question is, what is needed most regionally and nationally to address NCD?
Jeez. You prep these questions to me hot, boy. This is serious food for thought. I went to a seminar once, World Environment Day, where this topic came up. And the speaker at the time, I can't remember the person's name, because it was a little while ago, but the speaker at the time was from the UN. And he said something that I think we have to really put at the forefront. There is no magic bullet. And I think if we accept that there's no magic bullet, something magical could happen, which has started to happen, but not to my mind in the way that I would like to see it. And that is basically developing what is called functional medicine or integrated functional medicine. And what that allows is for a better dialogue between the different modes of healthcare. So everyone comes with something that is of benefit to the patient, but depending on the stage that the patient is at. And if there's a healthy respect for what the psychologist does, understanding that maybe if the psychologist sees the patient before the nutritionist, then what the nutritionist recommends can be more easily digested. Or maybe the nutritionist realizing that, yes, it's true that the food may help the person in the long run, but they have acute issues that they need to go and get resolved with by the doctor, right? The doctor's solution might not be the long-term solution, but it could sure put the patient in a easier frame of mind when certain symptoms, are dealt with. And then, because if you're in pain or you're uncomfortable, you can't think about what's going to happen when the food now kicks in 3 months from now. You want to feel good, right? So everybody has their own space. And I find that there's a lot of angst still between the complementary health therapies and traditional medicine, Western medicine. Doctors are, I must give credit. There are a lot of doctors out there who I've had conversations with, and they're really open to discussing the nutrition and the personal training side and the massage therapy. Yes, there are a lot of doctors out there. They may not put it out there like publicly, but they definitely discuss it and recommend it.
But I think that's how it should be. It should be a collaborative body of people that from different parts that to cause that connection.
Yeah.
So the patient of itself could get the best result.
Correct.
Because you can't go a doctor give me one side, suggesting medication and stuff.
Yeah.
the person now is not eating healthy from the nutrition side, then the person is keeping themselves fit from the training
It
side.
all has to work together.
Right.
If the person is someone who really values their spirituality, there may be different other types of healing that you have to respect and give them the space to do that. So I think I would really love to see that conversation happen more on bigger platforms, maybe more workshops, having more forums. I'm looking for conferences and, that kind of stuff. Because health is not straightforward.
Yeah, one thing I've learned about health is first stage of health is like the healing of the mind. Because if the mind isn't happy with the body, no matter what you feed the body, no matter what you do with the body, it's made no difference.
Oh, I'm going to say healing of your soul, really. And I think that's probably what has made me not give up with my nutrition and keep trying different things, because there's a bigger question at hand. And food journey, I love listening to people's health and wellness journeys. And then when they really take it seriously, you realize that it does transform their life. It does make them ask difficult questions. It does make them change the people that they're around. It does make them do things that they're uncomfortable with. And there's a bigger picture. There's a much bigger picture. So, food is love. Food is connection. Food is tradition. It's culture. It's a medicine. Oh my gosh, it's definitely a medicine. I cannot forget that.
Food for thought.
Yeah.
So I know you had, in terms of the same food experiences and your challenges, one of your challenges was wheat. And you have basically
a love-hate relationship with wheat.
And like, that challenge, not smelling bread baking in the bakery, fresh bread, soft, nice. And
you mean like the one when you go to school at the convent, you have to smell Purity Bakeries
every single day?
Every day.
How does a person handle that? Because let me tell you, I don't think I learned anything kind of food wise. So a friend of mine.
Oh no, you got a little something there.
Yeah, right. But I mean to that point where you know what I mean. But let me just make it clear. I am lactose intolerant, but I punish myself a lot because I see things that I like and I can't keep my hands off them. And then
so maybe you need to answer the question, because it was basically the same methodology. You eat something, it hurts like hell, it doesn't make you feel good.
Then you just go right back at it again. So yeah, it's not good. But yeah, I mean, for some people, like, but you see, for me, it's not a life or death situation. But some people, certain things they eat actually put them in the hospital or put them under. So how does a person deal with something like that?
Usually through a lot of pain. I'll tell you what I think might be the more immediate challenge if I was to compare a wheat intolerance to a lactose intolerance. Usually a lactose intolerance happens quick. Your body gives a telltale sign because you're not digesting the sugar in the milk very well. But what I have found has happened more so with wheat, it seems to be a more delayed reaction, right? For me, I would generally tend to feel pretty yucky about 2 days sometimes. Then not even the next day. 2 days I could feel, and then it like, oof, my stomach just, then the bloating kicks in big, right? And if you don't know what signs to look out for, it can take you a little while to make the connection in your head. Wheat causes a lot of issues with people's sinuses, and it's definitely not something that gets put on the list quite easily. But I have firsthand seen the effects of people who have like had snotty noses for years and be like, wow, I actually don't need to take anything from my sinuses anymore. So that's where I say it can be quite a painful experience. And then when you're coming off of certain things, it might equally take a little while for you to feel better and get back to where you were. So like say if somebody has PCOS, like polycystic ovarian syndrome is a very huge issue for a lot of women, especially Black women. And wheat has been shown in a lot of instances to really not help. And so for a woman monitoring her period and seeing like how heavy her period is coming and being affected, you actually have to wait a whole month for that cycle to come around again to actually say, okay, yeah, this month. But by that time, you've had a whole 4 weeks of doing something. So, you know, the whole awareness of it can take time to clock in solidly. You know what I've learned though? A big tool that I've learned, and it's not where I thought I would end up being. And it is something that I really teach to my clients a lot more confidently, is stop beating yourself up. I don't know if men go through this, hon. Do you beat yourself up?
No.
When you eat something?
No.
You don't. James, do you beat yourself up when you eat stuff that you know you're not supposed to have?
Exactly.
Do you hear what he just said? He doesn't give a shit.
Men you don't study it. We do it.
You just eat and move, right?
That's it. But our bodies work different than females, though.
Maybe, but if you're trying to achieve a goal, is it that you're not as stressed out putting on weight? It doesn't bother you the same way? You feel just as sexy with a big belly as you do when it's a six pack?
Men always say that a good tool needs a cover. It needs a shade.
OMG. Well, women don't think like that.
Yeah, we definitely know women don't think like that.
So we go through a peripheral of emotions that we cannot even begin to describe to you when we sit down with a piece of cheesecake that we know we really should not be eating, but our hormones are going all over the damn place, right? And you cannot beat yourself up because it doesn't help.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I know you named one of the places that you worked. I will touch the deep on that, and like some of your experiences in terms of your workplaces and who you work with. You know, just you can touch on that.
Okay, so I have worked with Lawrence Masblow. He's a chiropractor, an osteopath and a nutrition coach, you could say, in his own right. Functional medicine practitioner. I have worked at Surfside Gym. Surfside really cemented my understanding of fitness now. I got to give George and his team their props. George made his stamp when it comes to health and wellness and has seriously contributed to health and wellness in Barbados. Very high standards. Surfside didn't play. You had to know your stuff, right? Yeah. From front desk all the way back down. Yeah. So a lot of experience I learned at Surfside for sure. I worked alongside some of the best trainers that I think are in Barbados. Gosh, Evie. Gosh, Amina. LeVar went through Surfside. Look, the list could go on. So Surfside was awesome, right? I learned the business side of it too. So I got to thank my girls, Salita and Claudia. Yeah, I learned that side of it. And then I worked at Beyond Limits. And again, that was just another extension. That side more was like the fun, adventurous element of it. Watching the kids definitely prepared me for some no fear kids. But then I did some other sides of it too. I worked with the IDB. That was working now more on like the NGO side of it, dealing with farmers on the ground, training workshops. I've worked with Slow Food Barbados. They've done an amazing job over the last couple of years now. They've been around for a while, helping people to understand the sustainable side of food production, valuing local foods, that side of it. I've gone into several schools and done presentations and workplaces. You know, so I've come in at a lot of different angles now. And I guess that's why doing a blog about food and pulling this kind of stuff in a podcast has now been important to me, because I see so many different sides of the whole food question and wellness question that I just feel there's so much to talk about. And once you start me talking about it, I can't stop.
Yeah, we know that. We definitely know that.
What time is it? We have 45 minutes on the clock.
So my I would just make this statement, and after hearing everything you said, I got a shout out Emerson to Emerson came to you.
Yeah, Emmy's pushed his food vibe big now, not just food, the health vibe, and I like it. He's found his own mark.
Yep, and even like from seeing his challenges and stuff, and Emmy was huge.
He really
if you see him now,
you
would never believe he's the same boy. But he has not only physically changed, mentally he has changed too. The way he operates, the way he sees life now, is a whole different transition. And I applaud him for his journey and where he's at today. And he's even doing the coaching too as well now from being the experience that he got. So seeing how you came into his life and help cause that effect is like achievement for myself watching from the outside. Yeah. So I put it out there. Anybody really want a real life nutrition coach who can actually help you through the steps and be real with it? This woman here is the woman for you, man. They don't got nobody else.
So I'm gonna round off by sharing a new goal. Whew. I started vlogging, recording my journey in a different way on my IG page, Clearly a Sunflower. Hence why I have my yellows, right? And realizing through some encouragement of a few friends, I got to show out my girl Tiffany, right? She's doing products to help you put on weight. And COVID has put me in a different space. Now, I think for the most part, I've managed my weight at 120 from the time I was like 19, after I went through my whole fitness stuff. And I've started to put on some weight, and I'm actually allowing myself the space to experiment with it, because I feel like that whole stay small vibe is a little outdated.
Overrated.
Oh, overrated?
Definitely overrated. Definitely wait. Check mothers on the platform.
I love your honesty, boy. I really love your honesty.
We keep it real.
It's a little overrated. No, this is not to say that I want to become seriously overweight in any form or fashion, but I want to feel comfortable at a heavier weight. So I'm experimenting what that looks like. And it's different. It's interesting. A lot of people are being like, clearly you're putting on some weight, and that's cool. That's actually cool. Right? I'm learning my body in a new way. So we want to at some point get Tiffany on the show. I've messaged some plus size models. I want to start opening up the conversation from that side now, And I'm showing out all of the girls on IG. I don't know all of you personally, but I have been tracking some of their journeys. And people like Kathy Drayton, she's huge. And I wanna say that I think it's really helped women to start embracing their body and embracing our curves.
Yeah, because you're saying the marketing, people market one side of a journey of being healthy, and just the small, slender, slim.
That's
petite.
always been out there.
Yeah. You
understand?
The girls with the women with the curves and the size plus sizes and things, they're just look past, and I used to always say, but this is proper women. anyhow, yeah. So we keep it real. We keeping it real.
So that's it. That's it for you. Yeah. I feel like I was on the hot seat for sure, boy. Woo.
Yeah. So we had a whole earful, mouthful, and I guess there's a lot I got from it, and I hope that you got some from it too as well. And again, if you want to get more information,
you can find me on IG, Clearly a Sunflower.
Right.
Everything about what I do is there. You can private message me. I'm happy to send you all the brochures that have all the information about the packages that I offer, what it entails, and we work through it to suit your goals.
Right. We're working with your goals. Understand? This is being realistic.
So this is Life in Red today.
Yeah, Life in Red.
Life in Red.
She's still got the black though, but so it's still Life in Red and black. So yeah, that's it for us today, baby. We out.